Del K. Brereton, and this is the Shiloh Institute of the Real Spiel, brought to you by the Jericho House and Dr. David Israel, the Hebrew University, my linguistic mentor. We're going to have a conversation today, taking off some of the political and things. We're going to have a therapeutic conversation today. I think I need to be therapeutic today. You know, jumped down Donnie's throat yesterday, and I think it's time for a little bit of reflection. Can we reflect today? I was looking for topics, and I spoke to a young lady, and she said, you know what? Why is it that, what should people do when they have exhausted all of their possibilities of getting into a relationship, and they're tired, and you know, they just don't know where to go next? Kind of paraphrasing. I said, what people should do is they should be alone. They should learn to be alone. I believe that you and me are addicted to some things in life, and there's a long list. I think people are addicted to validation, especially this current era of social media. The more pictures that you have on your Instagram, the more you are addicted to validation, to the point that sometimes you dislike yourself. Right? These are the individuals who are constantly in the paradigm of beautifying themselves, doing things to themselves to make themselves more attractive. From as simple as a haircut and a shave to as complex as a BBL and facial, contortions of things that they'll change about themselves. We're in a constant state of validation. We require it. We require it for our peace. Am I okay? Please tell me I am okay. Let me go out here and pretend that I am okay. And that manifests itself in multiple ways, some healthy and some not so healthy. Many of us, especially the ones from the Caribbean, we're addicted to sugar. We're addicted to sugar. We're addicted to food. I had a friend of mine at work, and she was like, yeah, I'm going on this diet. She was competing against another brother at work, the biggest loser, and they're trying to lose weight and try to test how much weight each other would lose. And she was about to eat something, and it was curry chicken and rice. And I said, hey, don't eat the rice. She's like, but what am I going to eat it with? I said, you're not going to eat it with anything. You're just going to eat the curry chicken. She's like, I'll start tomorrow. I was like, hey, you just told me that you guys are in a competition. You should just start today. Don't eat the rice. Just make a decision. Don't eat the rice. She had that rice sitting right there in her fork. She had to eat that rice. She couldn't help herself. She had to eat that rice. Some people are addicted. We're addicted to food. We're addicted to sugar. But this is what this is about. Some people are addicted to sex, addicted to intimacy, addicted to that level of stimulation. They cannot stop. And they can't stop because I think there's two reasons a lot of people cannot stop. And if it's just purely sex, because there's the next level is you're addicted to relationships, which is where I'm going to live today. But they can't stop because some people, and this, let me talk for the men before I talk for the women, because I understand the men a lot better. They have too much opportunity. They have opportunity, and then some folks, there's that rarefied air where some brothers they're just they get 9 and 10s, 9 and 10s, 9 and 10s, 9 and 10s coming their way, and they cannot say no, right? And unfortunately, these are single and married men. These are guys in relationships they can't say no because there's just too much opportunity. They might be living in a particular place where the women around them are just very, very attractive, and they're very, very single, right? I've heard that, like, this is a scenario in the Georgia, Atlanta area, a lot of gay men, very few heterosexual men, and women are simply, the door is open to an attractive heterosexual brother in particular regions, in particular spaces, and they're just getting so much opportunity, they can't say no. So they don't have self-control to turn it down. So it's not even about the sex, it's about the self-control of saying, bro, like, you just were dealing with something earlier this morning. Like, you can't turn this down. And some guys just simply can't turn it down. It's not even the itch that needs to be scratched. It's the fact that this is an opportunity and I got to take it. So that's the men's side of it. I know a lot of you ladies are talking about it, but a lot of men just don't have self-control. They don't have the capacity to say no. And this is the other side of that I have to be fair. I have to be fair to men and say, not every woman is the fulfillment of every man. Like a lot of times women think, why can't a guy be settled with just me? Right? And the hard part about this is that maybe you are not what could fill that man's appetite to the point where he can be settled. And let me hit you with this. Even the gentlemen that have the great appetites and they have opportunity like crazy, there is still in their mind an ideal woman that will fulfill all of that desire. There's something, we don't know what it is. We don't know if she has 2 heads and 4 arms, but in his head, there is a woman that he is looking for that can fulfill that appetite and quench that desire for other people. And the problem is, the more and the more and the more and the more women that guy gets with, is the higher and higher and higher and higher standard and echelon that eventual desirous woman with, because he starts building women. He starts building a perfect woman out of all the plethora of women that he's ever been with. He's like, I like Dorothy's feet. Oh, I liked her attitude. I like how she took care of me. I like how she spoke to me. I liked her teeth. I liked her hair. And all of these various women, he starts building in his mind this perfect woman for him. And sometimes it's achievable and sometimes it's not. So then the relationship part. This is where I find that a lot of women are here. A lot of women that I've met, encountered, and especially I would say pandemic on. Because prior to pandemic, the world was different. Pandemic on, the world drastically changed. Drastically changed. And what people liked before the pandemic, after the pandemic, they didn't like that no more. And I don't know if the pandemic was like Noah's flood that changed how old people were, that something was different in the air. But during the pandemic, people changed a lot. And I found for myself, it was women that were changing a lot after the pandemic. I think women did 3 things. They rose their standards, some to a ridiculous and unachievable level. They just rose their standards. Some abandoned their sacred cows and religious silos of what relationships were. You saw a lot of women simply throw their relationship in the garbage. I don't want this anymore. I'm done with this. And I don't know what I'm moving on to, but I'm moving on to something. And there's where the problem began. The something, the desire to find something, which again spoke to her own validation. And I live in the city of Toronto, in the greater area, greater Toronto region, greater Toronto area, and there is a culture here. There is a dating culture in Toronto. For those who've been following me for a couple of years, they know I've said it. I've gone through various transitions there in the dating culture, and I've experienced some really incredible things that I didn't really realize were out here in the minds of women. I'm trying to be very, very positive because I don't want to come on here and bash anyone, but this is my experience, so please take it as that. I have found that there's a lot of people who they can be in multiple relationships in 1 year because they can fall in love. I'm talking with women in the GTA. They can fall in love at the drop of a hat. They can fall in love, and the question is, what are they falling in love with? And they're not falling in love with the same type of man. They can fall in love with a guy who's tall, attractive, educated, and then they can fall in love maybe 6 months later with an individual who's short, not very attractive, but he's not necessarily educated, but he's a business guy. And I found that there was a lot of experimentation that was going on. And people were saying, I'm open to the possibilities of what can come. And that created now a cycle of relationships that I saw a lot of women get into. They got into different relationships, different conversations, situationships. They changed everything about who they were. Sometimes their children didn't recognize what they were changing into. Some of them were ready to dive headfirst into things that they had just met, change their entire life, transform their entire existence over a man. And you know women like this. You know women that cannot be without a man. They just cannot be without a relationship. And then you have the people who are not necessarily like this. And these are the ones that I find to be a little more scary to me. Women that are not like that. There are women that are not like that. They're not levitating from relationship to relationship, but they want one. They want a serious one. And a lot of times they cannot emotionally move on from the last one. And we find that those women have a different, I would call it a different type of personality in respect to how they approach relationships. Some of them are very, very, very suspicious, very guarded. They are still facilitating traumas that they have from their past, and they are actually superimposing those on every new person that comes around. I've had people that have literally created a whole psychology on who they thought I was based on stuff they had gone through in the past. It's like, baby, I'm nothing like that. I don't know what you're talking about. They had a prejudgment of what they believed you were, or what they believed that every man is. And you hear how they talk, you know, oh, most men are this, and most men are that, and most men do this. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Throwing out all these daggers, I'm not most men. And even though their desire is to be in a relationship, their trauma does not let them. And that means that they even have shorter term relationships. They don't call them relationships though. They meet people, they talk to them for a while, they have a disagreement, they block them, and they move on to another conversation. They have the same short interaction, right? Might be non-physical. It might not be a scenario where they even meet that person. It could be social media based. It could be just talking on the phone. But they find that they have these micro fractures of interactions, meeting somebody, getting to know them, and it crashes really, really quickly. Like it just cycles. They cycle through it really, really fast. They prejudge the person on every comment they've made, and they develop these sociological assessments in a heartbeat. And of course, we see that going on online. We see, you know, I really feel sorry for this woman, Dr. Bryant. I think I got to do a show about her too, because she's a relationship expert, according to herself. She's smart. She says she makes great money. We don't know anybody's pocket. And she's supposed to be this woman who is preparing others and men and women. She speaks to men and women. She spoke to, you know, some pretty notable figures, preparing them for their relationships. She says, I'm prepared to be a submissive wife, and she says all the right things that guys want to hear, right? But her presentation defies what she speaks about. I'll bring her up in this particular case to show the parallels of what I'm talking about. Some women come and they talk the talk. They say all the right things, but they have too much trauma to actually pull the trigger. Dr. Bryant is one of the best examples I have. She's like, oh, I've had multiple engagements that I've turned down. And at first that doesn't sound like a big deal, but she didn't say she had multiple relationships that she had to get out of. She has said that she has multiple engagements, meaning men have asked her to marry her, and this is her. She has said yes. She has said yes. She has accepted the ring. So she clearly built a relationship and a rapport with this gentleman, these several gentlemen, where she has accepted their marriage proposal. She has looked them in their face based on whatever timeline they had in their relationship. And she has said, yes, I will marry you. I will spend the rest of my life with you. And then during the course of that period from engagement to marriage, she has rescinded. And I want to stop right there. What was the first thing that came to your mind if you're women? Oh, those guys were probably cheating on her. That's probably why she... Was that your first thing? Because in a man's mind, I just want to say this to you. I think something's wrong with a woman like that. I don't think that the decision-making process is problematic in multiple ways. If all those men that you have accepted engagement from cheated on you, then something's wrong with your decision-making prior to actually accepting those engagements. But I don't think all of them have cheated on her. I believe that Dr. Bryant is a template of modern women today. That some people say they want something, but they really don't want it. They really don't want what they say they want. And they are buying into an old adage, an old phenomena, an old institution, right? That is a good institution, but it is not for everybody of this time. That institution is marriage. Some women say they want it, but you can't be it. You can want a Ferrari, but you can't maintain a Ferrari. You can't drive a Ferrari, even if you can afford it. You don't have the discipline to actually drive it, to actually function in your everyday life with a vehicle like that. Some people say, I want a tractor trailer. You don't know how to handle the gears. You don't know how dangerous that vehicle is. And so you might not be able to handle a vehicle of that size. And a lot of women think they want marriage, but they do not understand the responsibility, their personal responsibility as a woman before they even go there. And I'm going to talk to the men in a second, but there is a woman and there is a wife. And I want to be very clear with you. There is a reason that men marry certain women. And it has less to do with looks than you think. It has more to do with attitude. It has more to do with how that woman has been cultured to deal with men. It has a lot to do with it. And Dr. Bryant is being asked to marry because she's a very attractive, smart woman who seems to have all of her check boxes in a row, but she's not pulling the trigger. And that is indicative that there's some trauma that she's dealing with that she cannot pull the trigger. And when she talks about it, you know, she is not remorseful. She doesn't think to myself, yeah, you know, I've gotten engaged and it didn't work out for me. The bravado of it demonstrates that she is almost holding these things as jewels in her crown. Yeah, I've had lots of people ask me to engage, but I didn't want to marry them. After what? What did you say yes for then? Let's talk about the men, because I know y'all want balance. I'm in this particular category. I'm an anti-commitment guy. Anti-commitment. But in my head, I've got the perfect girl that I want to commit to. Oh, yeah, I've got her built in my... She is. I know who she is. But I'm an anti-commitment guy if I don't find that girl. I'm an anti-commitment guy for multiple of reasons, because just like Dr. Bryant and the other side of the coin, of the female side of the coin, I have gone through some things that I realized people are not forever, and people will not necessarily stay in the mold that they present themselves to you forever. They will kind of offer you, you know, the makeup and hair, the hair did version of themselves. And then after a while, when they take a shower, they pull that hair out and you realize, oh, that personality was manicured. That attitude and those behaviors were manicured. I was always also mistakenly and erroneously a guy that says, I don't want to know about your history. Your history with me starts today. That was a big mistake for me personally, because, and I'm not really a big proponent of this in the way that a lot of people are doing, but a lot of people have mental illness that you have to deal with. And mental illness could be something small to something very big. And when a beautiful person who actually is functionable in life has I don't be harsh and call it a mental illness, but a peculiarness about their mindset, their attitude, their outlook that will lead to problems, because you have other attractions and connections to them. You overlook those things. You don't give yourself time, and I wasn't giving myself time to iron out the wrinkles of the weirdness that I was taking as quirky, or taking as that's just how she is. She's just a little bit spoiled. She's just a little bit of a diva. No, brother, no. Those are grenades ready to blow up. And so I historically ignored, and as they say these days, the red flags. And they weren't red flags. They were bombs sitting there, ticking time bombs, that I was like, I'll be able to program this bomb. It won't blow up on me. And it was actually arrogant to think that you can change somebody's innate ontology of how they presented themselves, who they are, and not give them enough time to adjust to you. And I think men like myself were too quick to make people adjust, and then found themselves in traumatic situations, and then said, I'm done with that. I don't want to do that no more. I'm done with that. I'm a voyeur. I will go through life eating from the appetizer list. No main courses for me. I might be peckish, but it's snacks only, and healthy snacks sometimes, and sometimes finger foods and what's it called? Comfort food. And they've embraced a comfort food type of lifestyle. It's like, no, thank you. I'm okay. And those brothers now, we're called the toxic ones. That's what they call us, because we are men that seemingly have everything together, but we're not interested in marriage. And it is true. There's a lot of men that are not interested in marriage, and that part, our fault. We're not interested in marriage because we're not emotionally prepared for the commitment, or have the patience to actually allow that person to adjust to us. Because me, baby, I'll bail out the plane the second I find any crazy in you. I'm jumping out the plane, baby. I'm setting up the bat signal right away. I'm gone in a heartbeat. 60 seconds, I'm out, because I don't really want to go through the process of learning again that you're a Dr. Brian, that you're just a great lady that ultimately is going to bail out of the situation, right? And then there's the other side of it, that I'll go back to the ladies. A lot of women are just not marriage material. You are great women, but you're not marriage material. And I'll speak to myself again. I've raised 3 great daughters, but I've not taught those young ladies to be great wives, because the focus of the modern age is to teach women to be independent. And I have leaned towards that side more than I've leaned towards, hey, you've got to learn how to cook, you got to learn how to clean. Listen, you got to be this, you got to be that. My mindset to my daughters was, listen, I need you to be intelligent, I need you to be strong, I need you to be able to hit that jump shot in the corner, baby, with pressure. I need you to have an industrious mind. I wasn't building these girls to be submissive to some Negro who's going to show up and say, I'm going to take care of your daughter. She's going to be a wonderful housewife. Going to give me 4 kids and take care of the garden. No, I wasn't raising girls like that. My girls weren't raised like that. My girls are killers. My girls are warriors, right? And so I am guilty of formating strong women who potentially ain't going to listen to no dude like that. And in fact, if they get into a marriage, they're going to want to run the thing. They're going to want to be like, hey, I got this. Sit down, look pretty, big fella. Go to the gym, bring that check home, All right. We'll have children when I tell you we're going to have children. My kids, my daughters are monsters. I'm not afraid to tell you. My daughters are monsters, right? They love their daddy, but they try that stuff with me sometimes. Like, hey, no, don't try that with me. You can't try that with me. My daughters are, my oldest daughter, again, I call her Dr. Brereton. She's got houses. She got her own money. She'll tell me every day, Dad, I make my own money, and I feel that I should have this kind of man. And I'm like, okay, daughter, I hear you, but listen. And she came back to me. She got divorced, and she came back to me and she said, Dad, I need you to tell me, I need you to tell me what it is about me. And she, in her 30s, she sat me down and she wanted me to teach her about men, teach her about her own personality, what she gives off. She came back later, after all the accomplishments. That little girl never did nothing wrong her whole life. That little girl was a stellar child, stellar athlete, stellar scholar. She never made a mistake her whole life until she decided to get married very, very quickly to an older man and told me I have to show up to the wedding and I have nothing to say about it. And she said, because I've never made any mistakes, Dad, you should trust me. And I said, okay. That marriage didn't last very long. Didn't last very long. The brother was the wrong guy for her. And she learned from that. And she's a fantastic woman. She's one of the best women I've known. I'm very proud of her, right? But it's going to be hard for her to be a wife. It's going to be hard for her to be a wife, and I'll take full responsibility for that. I won't even give that to her mom. I'll take full responsibility for that. So I think that's what we have now. We have people now, and I told her, sorry, the end of that part was, you got to learn to be by yourself. You've got to be comfortable being alone. And that little girl, she has it in some parts of her. She can go to Japan by herself. She can take trips by herself. She can do that. But relationship-wise, it's hard for many of us to say, hey, I'm good I love my independence. I love my apartment, come in the serenity of quietness. I love the fact that I have a 2-seater car. I don't need nobody in the back seat. Shoot, if I could get a 1-seater, I'd get a 1-seater. Some people have to really be comfortable being alone. And I don't mean being a recluse where you can't get out there and meet people, but you have to be in a position where you say, listen, you're cool, but I don't want a relationship from you. Let's talk. Let's go to church. Let's have coffee. I don't need you to pay, baby. I don't need you to pay for it. I'm talking to women now, right? I'm not talking about you folks who go around dating for food. I'm not talking about y'all. Fly me out because I'm a non-committal woman. I'm talking about people who are really comfortable being by themselves. I really like, and you tell me how many women you've met like this, women who say, I don't really have social media. I'm like, great. I don't have social media. Either she's hiding her past life, or she simply doesn't want to be overstimulated, right? Women who read books. Women sit there, not books talking about relationship books and all these stuff they stick in their brain, but women who's just reading books. An intellect. An individual that has the slowness of her emotionality. She don't overreact to stuff. I like women like that. I like it. And then there's other things. A woman doesn't have a story of, I broke up my marriage and I left. I wasn't happy and I broke up. That's, every time I hear that, I'm like, oh gosh, okay. What did he do? Did he cheat on you? No, he didn't cheat on me. I just felt it was time. Oh, Lord have mercy. They scare me, man. They scare me. Those women, because those women are so strong. So I got to the place where I realized I didn't need him. I'd outgrown him. We were going in 2 different directions. So, I decided to leave. I remember this one young lady told me a story. And she said, her husband was a pastor. She was the first lady of the church. And the husband was sitting, he was there, he was watching television. She was making dinner. having a regular evening. And so she said she served him dinner, and then she slipped him an envelope. She said, "Can you open this, please?" And he opened the envelope, and it was divorce papers. And he looked at her and he's like, "What's this?" "I think we should get a divorce." And he kind of turned. She's telling me the story now. This is her telling me the story. And this is me coming out of my situation saying, looking at this woman who's interested in me, and she's telling me this story of how she cavalierly just deposed her late husband, her ex-husband, and because she wanted a new life. And in my brain, and she was a very attractive lady, had a lot of things going on to her, fantastic, sweet personality, but my brain said, "You do not deserve a husband, and you certainly don't deserve me." And there is nothing, and she did nothing wrong. She never did anything. She was the kindest person. In my brain, I'd already ejected her out of the plane. Boom! Because this culture of relationships today is very scary for me. As a man, as a 275-pound gorilla, this culture is scary because the strength, the independence, and the cavalier of emotionalism of modern day women is terrifying to a lot of brothers like me. It's terrifying. Then, of course, you have the serial cheaters, okay? Not serial killers in the black community. You got serial cheaters, right? They absolutely are not interested in being monogamous. Monogamy right now is definitely on the chopping block with a lot of men. This concept of monogamy, and I'm talking about spiritual men and non-spiritual, secular and church men, monogamy is on the chopping block. A lot of men, especially African diaspora men, are going back to, that thing don't work. Monogamy? That thing don't work. And this is why. Let me tell you why. A lot of them are going back to this conversation. And I didn't say polyamory. Polyamory, you're just a hoe. You're just a hoe. You're just a hoe. You're out here hoeing. I'm talking about polygamy. Guys who are saying, you know what? If I'm going to get me in a covenant, I gotta triple the bet. I can't just have one, because one of y'all, you get out of pocket. I need about 3 of y'all to keep each other in line, and this is the mentality. The polygamous mindset is that, listen, I have an appetite, I'm a man, I'm not going to be subjugated to one woman telling me what to do, how to do it, and whatsoever. I'm going to be a king, and I'm going to organize it. And then the ladies are, well, as long as you have the money to do it. Some brothers have it. And guess what? Some women are open to it. That's a whole nother thing. But some women are open to that. But monogamy is definitely on the chopping block in 2025. A lot of brothers are like, that might actually work. That might actually work out. And a lot of women are saying, I'm not opposed to it. And all of those individuals, I say to you, you got to be comfortable being alone, man. You got to be comfortable being alone. Honestly, you just do. You just do. Let me see what y'all got to say. Let me see. Zenobia! I feel security is my alone. Oh. I'm not reading that properly. Security is my aloneness. You got to explain what that means. The idea of relinquishing my well-being of the hands of modern man is scary. No, it's true. It's true. It's true, because I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna slap a prenup on anybody who comes my way. I'm gonna slap a preemptive prenup on anybody who comes my way. If we have a child, I want the prenup. Talk about all the children, what's going to happen. Any property we buy, prenup, bump, 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 bump. I don't trust nail one of y'all. I cannot trust an emotionally changing being. No. They can love you in 2025 and hate you in 2030. Y'all scary. So I agree with you, Zenobia. You need contractual law. keeping people in check these days. And when a relationship needs that much, when you need all that to get involved in another person's life, stay by yourself. Stay by yourself. If you're so untrustworthy that I've got to enter into a romantic relationship the same way I enter into buying a car, no. Just no. The answer is no. Right? And the older you get, the more you're coming across women with children. And let me tell you something. I mean, there are some amazing women out here. They have my chief number one red flags. Because most of you guys don't know how to deal with a new man with dealing with the old man. First of all, I'm nobody's stepdaddy. I ain't stepdaddy to nobody. I don't want to be a stepdaddy. I got 6 children, 3 grandchildren. What the heck I want to be a stepdaddy for? That child better have an active father in their life. And that active father better come pick up the child, because I ain't dating the child, I'm dating the mama. I'm not interested in being nobody's stepdaddy. No. Because most of the time, people want you to be a stepdaddy because they're holding back the child from their actual father. The actual father's like, I want to be in my child's life. She's like, no. I've got a new relationship now, and we are going to be a family without you. No, I don't want to be a family. I don't want to be a family. I want you, but I don't want to be a family. Your child, send that child back to the daddy. Send the child back to the daddy. You know, that little Lego Beast child needs their daddy. Send them back. So most people don't know how to manage that situation. I don't want, and I truly believe that if a man is involved with his children and they have a good relationship with the child's mother, they probably should be together. I don't want to be involved. I don't want him calling me saying, hey, Del, what's going on, man? Yeah, I'm just coming to pick up the girls. How's everything going? Hey, how's Margaret? She's all right? I know she could be a handful, boy. I've dealt with her for 15 years before you. Okay, man, I'll see you in 15 minutes. No, I don't want that conversation. Nope. And I don't want to share a womb. I don't want to share a womb. You know? Oh, hey, bro, you started it off. Oh, great. Yeah, you had 2 kids. Man, a couple kids with her, too. I don't want to do that. I don't want to share a womb. I'm not sharing wombs. Nope. And the older I get, the bigger the rally is. Then you're going to say, oh, you're looking for younger women then. I'm not necessarily looking for young women. I just don't want to share wombs. I don't. I'm not interested in that. Not interested in that. And I have no issue with any brother who's ever done that. I have no issue with any brother who's stepped up and decided that he wants to take the responsibility of raising somebody else's child who that woman has prevented from raising his own child. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to be nobody's stepdad at all. Because they're going to turn around, look you in the face and say, you're not my father? I don't want no part of that, man. So I'm very comfortable being alone. Alone is good, right? And I also have high standards of what would cause me to change being alone. If I was to decide to get into something permanent, I know exactly what that looks like. Exactly what that looks like. And I think some people need to be real about that and sit back and say, hey, he might be on to something. Because all this cycling through people, you're gaining experience, you're understanding what you don't like. I understand that part of it. It's a process. I understand that part, right? But you get to the part where you just get fed up and you say, you know what? I'm okay being alone. Because we have a big blame game culture these days, you know. Oh, you know, he's a toxic human, he's a toxic man, and you're like, yeah, that chick was trash, and she was this and she was that. I don't want that, man. I don't want to see you somewhere and I got to turn my head because I don't even want to look at you. I don't want to be fighting in court with you over my children. I don't want to have to deal with a restraining order. I don't want to have to fight your next baby daddy or your last baby daddy. I don't want any drama, any problems. What I love is I love getting on a plane and knowing that my passport will not be blocked at the border. What I love is knowing that money in the bank, no one's going to garnish it. That's what I love. What I love is being able to somebody come over to my house and not having to hide the fact that there's a woman's underwear in the wrong. I like being alone. And some of y'all need to learn to be alone too. This is Del K. Brereton. This is The Real Spiel, the Shiloh Institute. Learn to be alone. Let me see what Zenobia says. I want me and the father of my children to share a new experience together. Ooh, what does that mean? I don't want to raise some other woman's children without being the title of, without being the title of AME. What's AME? I do what I want. Zenobia, you're funny. All right, this is Del K. Brereton, man. I hope this helps somebody. And if it didn't help you, maybe it just was to help me. God bless you. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.